It was a crisp autumn evening in the small town of Millfield, where life moved at a gentle pace and secrets were whispered behind closed doors. Abigail "Abby" Monroe, a 32-year-old artist, lived in a quaint cottage at the edge of town. Her world was painted with colors and emotions, but her heart had grown lonely in her 5-year marriage to Charles Monroe, a successful attorney. Charles was devoted to his work, often leaving little room for the warmth and intimacy Abby craved. One fateful afternoon, while setting up her easel near the edge of Willow Lake, Abby met Edward "Eddie" Brooks. Eddie, 36, had recently returned to Millfield after a decade in New York. His rugged charm and soulful eyes hinted at a life lived on the edge. He had a past shrouded in mystery, a writer who once tasted fame but now sought solace in the town where he grew up. Their connection was instant. Eddie's curiosity about Abby's art was genuine, and Abby found herself sharing her dreams and frustrations in a way she hadn't with anyone else. Over the next few weeks, their paths crossed more frequently. A chance meeting at the town's only coffee shop, long conversations at the library, and stolen glances at the farmer's market. The town buzzed with gossip as their growing friendship became noticeable. Millfield was a place where everyone knew everyone, and whispers about Abby spending time with Eddie began to circulate. Abby tried to suppress her feelings, reminding herself of her vows to Charles, but her heart betrayed her logic. One evening, as a storm rolled in, Eddie showed up at Abby's cottage. Soaked to the bone, he stood on her porch, holding a manuscript he had been working on. "I need your opinion on this," he said, his voice tinged with desperation and excitement. Abby hesitated, but eventually let him in. As the storm raged outside, they pored over his work, their hands brushing against each other's. The electricity in the room rivaled the lightning outside. When Eddie leaned in and kissed her, it was as if time stood still. Abby pulled away, guilt flashing across her face. "I can't do this," she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. But Eddie's gaze was steady. "Abby, you deserve to feel alive. When was the last time you felt truly seen?" The days that followed were a whirlwind of passion and turmoil. Abby and Eddie began meeting in secret, their love blooming in hidden corners of the town. Abby's art took on a new vibrancy, reflecting the intensity of her emotions. But the guilt of betraying Charles gnawed at her, even as her heart pulled her closer to Eddie. One day, Charles came home earlier than expected and found one of Eddie's handwritten notes tucked inside Abby's sketchbook. It wasn't explicit, but it was enough to ignite suspicion. Charles, a man known for his composure, felt the ground beneath him shift. He began to watch Abby closely, his once loving demeanor turning cold and distant. Meanwhile, Eddie's past caught up with him. A woman named Lila, his former lover from New York, arrived in Millfield, claiming she wanted closure. Her presence complicated everything, forcing Eddie to confront his own unresolved issues. Abby, torn between the life she had built and the love she had found, felt her world spiraling out of control. The climax came on a winter night when Charles confronted Abby. "Is there someone else?" he demanded, his voice trembling with anger and hurt. Abby couldn't deny it any longer. "Yes," she admitted, tears streaming down her face. "But it's not that simple." Charles's reaction wasn't what Abby expected. Instead of rage, there was a deep sadness. "I knew we were drifting apart," he said, "but I didn't think you'd find someone else." In the days that followed, Abby made the difficult decision to end her affair with Eddie. "We can't build our happiness on someone else's pain," she told him, her voice breaking. Eddie, though heartbroken, understood. "I'll always love you, Abby. But you're right." Abby and Charles decided to seek counseling, determined to either rebuild their marriage or part ways with dignity. Eddie left Millfield, leaving behind a letter for Abby. In it he wrote, Thank you for showing me what it means to truly love. I hope you find the happiness you deserve." Months later, Abby's art was featured in a gallery in the city. Her work, filled with raw emotion and vibrant colors, caught the attention of critics and art lovers alike. One painting, titled "The Love That Broke All Rules," became the centerpiece of the exhibition. It depicted a stormy lake with two figures reaching for each other, but separated by an invisible barrier. Abby stood before the painting, reflecting on the choices she had made. Life was messy, complicated, and filled with shades of gray. But through it all, she had learned the importance of honesty, with herself and others. The love she had found with Eddie might have broken the rules, but it also taught her how to rebuild her life with integrity and purpose. And in the quiet moments, when the world seemed still, she would think of Eddie and smile, knowing their story had forever changed her.